Sarah hadn't slept in 3 days, but it wasn't the baby keeping her awake. It was the voice. At first, she thought she was hearing things, sleep deprivation playing tricks on her mind. But then she heard it again through the monitor at 2:47 a.m. A man's voice, low and calm, singing a lullaby to her 6-month-old daughter. Her husband Marcus was asleep beside her. She could hear his breathing. She could feel the warmth of his body. But someone was in Emma's room. Sarah's hands trembled as she grabbed her phone, pulling up the monitor's camera app. The night vision screen glowed green. Emma was there, sleeping peacefully in her crib. The room was empty, but the singing continued. She shook Marcus awake, pressing the phone to his ear. His face went pale. They crept down the hallway together, Marcus gripping a baseball bat, Sarah dialing 911 but not pressing send. The door to Emma's room was barely cracked open, exactly how they'd left it. Marcus pushed it wider. Nothing, just their baby girl, chest rising and falling in perfect rhythm. The singing had stopped. Sarah checked every corner, every shadow, the closet, under the crib, behind the rocking chair, empty. "You heard it too, right?" Sarah whispered. "Tell me you heard it," Marcus nodded, but something flickered across his face. Something she couldn't read. The police came an hour later. They checked the baby monitor, a top-of-the-line model with encrypted Wi-Fi. They examined the windows, the doors, the security system Marcus had installed when Sarah was pregnant. Everything was locked. Everything was secure. No evidence of hacking, no signs of forced entry. Probably interference from a neighbor's device, the officer said, but even he didn't sound convinced. That night, Sarah sat in the nursery watching Emma sleep. She refused to use the monitor. Around 3 a.m., her eyes grew heavy. She began to drift. Then she heard it again, closer this time, not through a speaker. The voice was coming from the hallway. She stood frozen, every maternal instinct screaming at her to grab Emma and run, but her legs wouldn't move. The singing grew louder, the melody familiar but wrong, like a childhood song played in a minor key. The door creaked open. Marcus stood in the doorway, his eyes glazed, his lips moving. He was the one singing. "Marcus?" Her voice cracked. "What are you doing?" He blinked, confusion washing over his face. "Sarah? I don't know. I was asleep. Wasn't I asleep?" She wanted to believe him. She wanted to accept the explanation that he'd been sleepwalking, that stress from his new job had triggered some parasomnia episode. But something in her gut twisted. The next day, while Marcus was at work, Sarah went through his things. She didn't know what she was looking for until she found it, tucked inside an old shoebox in the garage, buried under receipts and warranties. A journal. Her hand shook as she opened it. The entries started 6 months before Emma was born. Page after page of Marcus's handwriting. But the words didn't make sense. They talked about the bloodline and keeping watch and the promise made. There were drawings of the house, of Emma's nursery with strange symbols in the corners. And there were photos, dozens of them, of Sarah sleeping while she was pregnant, taken from angles that made her skin crawl. She'd been watched in her own home by her own husband for months. The final entry was dated 3 days ago. It's time. She needs to know her purpose. "I'll start with the songs, just like Father did with me." Sarah's phone rang. Marcus's name flashed on the screen. "Hey, honey." His voice was cheerful, normal. "I'm heading home early. Thought we could have a nice family dinner. Just the 3 of us." She looked at the journal in her hands, then at the time. He'd be home in 15 minutes. That sounds perfect, she heard herself say, her voice steady, despite the terror flooding her veins. I'll get Emma ready. She hung up and stood there in the garage, understanding finally settling over her like ice water. The monitor wasn't hacked. There was no intruder. There never had been. The man she'd married, the father of her child, believed their daughter was part of something. Something that required watching, molding, preparing. Sarah picked up Emma from her crib, holding her close. She could leave right now. She could grab her keys and go. But as she looked into her daughter's eyes, she saw Marcus's eyes looking back. And then Emma smiled. A smile far too knowing for a 6-month-old. Sarah felt her own lips moving. And to her horror, she realized she was singing. The same lullaby, the same melody. She'd known the song all along. She'd always known it. In the driveway, Marcus's car pulled in. He sat there for a moment, checking his rearview mirror. In the reflection, he could see his own father's face staring back. The face he hadn't seen since the fire 20 years ago. The fire 20 years ago. The fire that had supposedly killed him. She's ready.